Let's go through my top 25 books of 2025. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to go through all of these books today. This is also the first official video in 2026. I posted a reading vlog a few days ago, but that had been mostly filmed in December and I had just been really behind on editing it, so I had uploaded it. And I just uploaded it because I didn't want it to just be a waste, so I uploaded that. But this is the first one that I'm actually filming in 2026, so Happy New Year, guys. I wish you the best for all of your reading goals and all of your just personal goals over this next year. One of my big goals is to be posting more on YouTube, so hopefully you'll be seeing my face a little more. But today we're going through my top 25 of 2025. I was going to do all the books I read in 2025, but I feel like I've been talking about the same books over and over again because I do reading vlogs on a lot of the books. So I'm talking in depth about the book and then I include them in my seasonal wrap-ups. So the video I just posted was my fall reading wrap-up, and then earlier in the year I posted a summer reading wrap-up where I go in depth again about my reviews on the books. So at least for the books in this tail end, I feel like I would be talking about them so many times over and over again and it would get a little boring. I think going forward at the end of the year, I'm just going to do my top whatever of that year. So like 26 and 2026, 27 and 2027, things like that, instead of doing a full wrap up of the entire year, since I do still plan to do those quarterly wrap ups anyways. I feel like that's just easier, so you're not hearing the same books over and over again. And this one I get to highlight all of my favorite books. Some of them you might be hearing over and over again because I love them so much, but a lot of them are also from earlier in the year before I ever did a reading wrap up. Some of them you'll be hearing for the first time, some of them I never vlogged, so you'll really be hearing them for the first time. So I'm really excited to showcase these. I actually read, let me look, I wrote everything out because I don't have all of the physical copies of all of the books, and I noticed that I had 14 5-star reads this year, so that is incredible. I'm so happy. We had such a good reading year. And then we had 7 4.5s, we had 1 4.25, and then we have 4 4-star books. So I'm gonna go through all of them. When it came to the 4 stars, those are the most that I had this year. It looks like, according to my Fable, I had 20 4-star books. So the 4 that I chose are the ones that surprised me the most. The ones where I wasn't really sure what I was getting into when I started it, but it ended up really surprising me in a great way. So those are the ones I'm deciding to highlight today, but I have so many more. I literally have 16 more 4-star reads that I absolutely adored. I'm excited to showcase these ones though. Alrighty, I'm not really sure what range we should go in, if we should go from 5 stars to 4 stars or 4 stars to 5 stars. I feel like maybe we'll start with the 4 stars and we can work our way up to the big dogs. So like I said, we have 4 4-star reads and these are the ones. First we have Powerful by Lauren Roberts. This is a little novella. It's literally a tiny hardcover book compared to the size of a normal one. It's just a little itty bitty baby, and unfortunately they did discontinue this one and they decided to go with a different format because a lot of people complained. But I love this little book. She is so cute and dainty and it was so fun to read her because it's so easy to hold. But this book was a 4-star for me. It made me bawl my eyes out. This one I did vlog and it is on my YouTube channel. I was sobbing my eyes out and it hits you with so much pain and such a gut punch. Like, it puts the knife in and then twists it like 5 times. It's a novella. Try to remind me to do a quick synopsis of each book because I always forget to do that and I just go on and on about my thoughts and I never tell you guys what they're actually about. So this one is a novella from its major series. It's part of the Powerless series. Let me grab it off my shelf, which I'm sure you have seen everywhere. This one I read last year, so it's not going to be a part of this reading vlog. I read it in 2024, but this one I read at the beginning of the year. I read this in January. So good, and as part of that series, I guess I could have also just flipped it over for you. This is taking place at the same time as Powerless, or at least I don't remember if all of it takes place at the same time or if only half of it does. I can't remember. I read this almost a year ago, basically a year ago, now that it's January. But this is Peyton's best friend. Her name is Adina, I believe. Yeah, again, I read this so long ago, I have to like refresh my memory. But Adina is Peyton's best friend and Peyton is the main character in this series. Adina, this is her story and her kind of like adventure while Peyton is in the trials. So if you don't know, Powerless is about like these Hunger Games-esque trials where everyone but her has special abilities and people who don't have abilities are called ordinaries, and ordinaries are not supposed to be alive. They either get eliminated by the king or they're banished to like the desert basically. So this is Adina's story, what she's kind of up to while Peyton is in the trials in the main book, and it made me sob so bad. So that is why it is on this list, because the emotional impact was so huge. I've never cried more during a book. I think this is the most I've ever cried from a book, so it needs its little spotlight on this video. The next book that really surprised me is The Neverlist by Jade Presley. I love this book. It really took me by surprise. It is a Why Choose romance. It's an urban fantasy Why Choose. I never really thought I liked Why Choose because when I read it in this book, I didn't really love it. And after reading it, I wasn't really sure if it was because of the book or because of the Why Choose. I don't know what I wasn't vibing with, but I didn't really like this one, so I wasn't sure if Why Choose was the genre for me. But I think this one was done very, very well. I actually really enjoyed it. This one, again, is a 4-star because we're in the 4-star category. But this is about, I forgot her main name, Riley Gray. So these are the princes. It's beautiful little cover art of all of them. So I forgot what they're called. They're like, the 4 princes of Lumethist need a mate. Everyone wants a chance except for her. So I have to remember this kind of world. So on the back it says you're invited to the choosing where you could win the heart of not just 1 prince but 4. So every year they have this choosing because these princes need to have a mate. And every year it doesn't really go well because it's a lot. Like they all have these abilities and powers because they're basically like gods. They're like god princes basically. And they each have these fathers that also have powers that are urging them, because it's something about like their mothers. So each of the 4 mothers, they made this like arrangement where the 4 princes need to have a human mate to keep them grounded basically, because they didn't want their sons to get a big head and go like crazy powerful, like unchecked basically. They needed them to agree on a mate that could keep them in place and keep them humble so that they don't go off and do crazy things basically. Again, I'm trying to remember this. I read this in April, so I'm trying to remember all the details. But there's 4 princes. Some are kinder than others, some are less intimidating than others. But this girl, she decides to go to the choosing. So she's from a very poor area and the choosing is really only for wealthy people. So somehow she gets an invitation. She kind of like, I think she forges it, whatever. The reason she wants to go is because she's gonna get money in some way, and I can't remember. I don't know if it's like a gift bag kind of a situation where you get money for going, or I don't remember what the situation is, but she wanted to be invited because I think when you go, you walk in the door and you say whether or not you want to be like up for grabs or whatever that phrase is. If you say yes, I want to be an option for them to choose, you get like this little pin. And I think if you do that and they don't choose you, you get some type of financial reward. So that's the game that she's playing. She's trying to get there because she's very poor, she's starving, she needs some kind of money to just feed herself, and I don't remember if she had a family or not, I'm not sure. But she's here to try to get some type of money so that she can go home and, you know, live. But they end up choosing her and she's like, shit, like what am I gonna do now? So the entire story is her meeting each of the princes and kind of how she starts to fall in love with them and how their relationship dynamic is. And it's actually really good. I actually really enjoyed it. Again, I was very apprehensive about the whole Why Choose part, but I thought that this author wrote it very nicely because it was one at a time. This book is basically broken up into 4 sections and each one is each prince, and then at the end they all come together. So I really liked it. Obviously 4 stars, but it's a really pretty book as well, and it ends on a huge cliffhanger, so I'm really excited. The book itself is actually gorgeous, and I'm really excited for the next book. I don't know when the next book is coming out, but I'm excited. And again, they are gorge. They are beautiful, beautiful men. Thank you for being patient with these descriptions. Some of these books have been read months and months and months ago, if not a year ago, so I'm doing my best to remember all these books. I read over 60 books this year, which is amazing because my goal was 50, and last year I only read 22 books. So I basically tripled, -1, my reading from last year, so I'm trying to remember everything in my head. But the next book I read is Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. This one I wanted to include because, again, it surprised me a lot. I'm trying to get more into general fiction and literary fiction, and this one really, I think, showcased the beauty of fiction and general fiction, literary fiction, whatever you call it, because I think I lean more towards romance and fantasy because there's so much description and beauty in it, and I think this book is the epitome of beauty in, what's the word? what's the word? Oh, now this is gonna bother me. But like beauty in just regular things. There's a word, oh my god. This is gonna frustrate me. Beauty in the mundane, I think is what I'm looking for. Because this is a story about this mother who is telling her daughters her life story when she was a kid, and the audiobook is narrated by Meryl Streep, so the entire time I was just picturing Meryl Streep talking to like her fictional daughters. It was a beautiful moment. I recommend the audiobook because you can just hear Meryl Streep in your ear all day long. Forgot her name. I really don't remember her name. Lara, L-A-R-A, Lara. They live in North Michigan and their family has a cherry farm. It's the sweetest thing ever. So they're basically like picking all the cherries and like kind of just chit-chatting while they're doing it. And it has two timelines, so it'll have the current timeline of Lara telling the story, and then it goes back in time to explain all of Lara's youth when she was trying to become an actress and when she met her previous partner who was a fellow actor. It's really cute, it's really humble, really sweet. I feel like the entire book is just the epitome of a sweet story, and it just makes you feel that maternal love is kind of how I would phrase this book, because the entire time when I was listening to it, I'm like, oh, I just miss my grandma, I miss my mom, like I just want that maternal love surrounding me, and the impact of maternal love is just so beautiful. No matter what context, it doesn't have to be blood relations, but just women are amazing, and this book was so sweet. Our final 4-star was the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I always want to say the Southern Vampires Book Club, like I always get it wrong, but it's the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Oh my gosh, by Grady Hendrix. This book was so good. I did a reading vlog about it and I shared all the complex feelings I had with it, but after reading this book, I thought about it for months. Like, this was such a good book. I wanted to rate it 5 stars so badly. The one reason I didn't rate it 5 stars is because, as I mentioned in the vlog, this story is about a vampire that takes over this town, and he does interact with some children, and it's not described in a deeply disturbing way, but I just didn't like it. I got the ick a few times. I think if this author only involved adults and didn't have this vampire like feed on children, then it would have been a 5-star, but I don't know. That's just a warning for anybody. He does interact with children. It's a little weird. It's a little like ooh feeling. But if you can get past that, it's a really good book. I genuinely really love this book. It's just a little weird. It's just a little weird. So that kind of bumped this down to a 4-star, but everything else is genuinely so good. I loved it so much. And that's why I'm a little frustrated that like I can't rate this a 5-star because it's so good. And I thought about it the entire time. Just a quick synopsis in addition to what I've already kind of said. It is this like little book club in this really southern town. I don't remember what town or what area it's in, but it follows the main character Patricia, and I think this is involved in the 80s or the 90s or 70s or something. But when I read it, it really feels like the 50s just based on the expectations of women. It's all these housewives getting together and forming a book club. The main character Patricia is like the oddball, so she's not really that included in the main book club, so she creates her own. And the main book club is reading all of these like literary books and classics and like all of these more ladylike books, but that's not what Patricia enjoys. Patricia enjoys horror and thrillers and like heart-pumping books. So she finds like, I think 2 friends, and they form this book club, and then they meet this neighbor who moves in next door after I think his uncle dies, and he moves into his uncle's house. And then it's just a big drama about everything happening in their little town because children start to go missing, adults start to go missing and end up dying, and everyone's like, what is happening? What's going on? They're so strange. And then you kind of figure out what's going on as you're reading it. Given the title, it's kind of a spoiler what's going on, but it's a very good book. I really enjoyed it. Again, mixed feelings, but overall really good. That was our last 4-star book, so then we are moving on to our 5 stars. I will do this one right away since you probably know what this book is. First, for our 4.5 stars, we have Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. This was a very controversial book this past year. A lot of people hated it, a lot of people loved it. It seemed like you were in one of the 2 camps. Either you hated it and you thought it was weird, or you loved it and you ate it up. And I'm in the ate it up category because Ali Hazelwood can do no wrong. I loved this book so much. Like, are you kidding me? And then on the other end, are you kidding me? It was super steamy, but so good. A lot of people were weirded out that the best friend, so let me go into the synopsis. This is about Scarlett and Lucas, I believe, right? Yes, Lucas. They were both swimmers. No, he's a swimmer, she's a diver. They go to a school. Was it Stanford? Or I don't remember what school it was. I think it's Stanford or like a fictional equivalent to Stanford. I don't remember which one it was, but they go to a really impressive school, not only for academics, but for athletics as well. And she's a diver. She recently got injured, so she's really like afraid of getting injured again. And it's kind of messing with her like mental. She's like spooking herself basically, so she's really struggling competitively. And then Lucas is just like basically the best of the best. He is the hot shot that everyone loves. He's an Olympic swimmer as well. He's on the Olympic team, and I think she's trying to make it to the Olympic team, I believe. But then they're also in school, in college and stuff, and Lucas is dating Scarlett's best friend Penelope, but then they break up, but keep it a secret because they've been dating since middle school, I think, middle school or high school, so they've been together for a long time, but they break up. And I think Penn, when she was drunk, she's like, you guys should get together because you guys like similar things in the bedroom. And then they take her up on that, and then everyone's like, that's really weird. And a lot of people were really put off by that, but I don't know. I wasn't too bothered by it. Like at first I was like, oh, that's weird, but I just know that that happens in friend groups sometimes. I personally wouldn't do that, but there's things in a lot of these books that I personally wouldn't do, so I don't really make that, you know, about me. I just know that some friend groups are a little closer than others, and I will listen and not judge. So this book was a 4.5, obviously. It was so good. I just realized we skipped over my 4.25. Oh my goodness. My bad, you guys. My bad. Let me finish this review and then we'll hop back to the 4.25. What was I even saying? This is a really good book. I love Ali Hazelwood. She's my favorite author of all time. I also recently started working at a bookstore, and everyone who has done events with her has said that she's the sweetest person ever. So love Ali Hazelwood. It sounds like she's just as genuine in person as she is online, and I absolutely love her books. Now, a brief intermission for my 4.25, which was Silver Elite. Again, another very controversial book of the year. You either hated it or you loved it. I personally loved it. It is very similar to, if I'm thinking correctly, let me grab my phone. If I'm thinking correctly, it's very similar to Powerless, but the opposite. So no one's supposed to have powers, but this girl ends up having powers and she has to keep it a secret from the world or they will eliminate her from this world. Every time I do these wrap-ups, I have to remind myself what the book is about, because for some reason after I read it, it's just poof, like it's in one ear, out the other, in one eyeball, out the other. I don't remember anything. My camera cut off. I don't remember at what part though. So I was summarizing Silver Elite. It's basically about this girl. She has these powers she's not supposed to have, and she does this one thing that kind of exposes her a little bit. I don't know if it exposes her fully, but they're kind of like watching her. So they send her to this military camp. It's a fantasy military camp, but it's basically a military camp called Silver Block, and they basically train. They're like the military. They train to like be good at combat and fighting and stuff like that. And there's also this like even more elite team called Silver Elite. They're basically like a SEAL team, and they train extensively for different missions and stuff like that. So basically if you get in trouble, you have to join this like thingy, this little military thing, in order to survive. So she joins that, but she also realizes that if she ever gets like exposed, like she has to be very careful about her psychic abilities, because all of these people are willing to kill her because they are doing whatever the government says, and the government says that anyone like her is bad. So she has to be very careful. And throughout the book, she knows she has this like friend. So she's psychic, and then she has this friend who's also psychic, so they can talk through their minds. And this entire time she's also trying to figure out like, who is this person that I can rely on if things go sour. So I really liked it. A lot of people thought it was really cringy, a lot of people thought it was weird, and I think Danny Francis is also an alias, I've heard, and nobody really knows who the real author is. They've speculated that it's another well-known author, so don't know, but I enjoyed it. I liked it, and I don't care what anyone else thinks because I enjoyed it. I never said my taste was good. I just like reading and escaping the world. Anyway, the next 4.5 star is Reckless by Lauren Roberts. Again, I love this series so much. I continued the series in 2025, and Reckless was such a good book. Another book that most people do not like. A lot of people said this is a filler book. A lot of people said that it's pointless. She could have just kept it a duology, but I liked it. I think it's for the romantics. It's following the first book, Powerless. It's picking back up right at the end of Powerless, so I'm not gonna go into too much detail because the end of Powerless is very vital to the plot of this one. In this one, there's no official trials, so I think that's why a lot of people lost interest. It's basically that in-between of what the characters are up to following the first book, and I think it's sweet. It's definitely less fantasy, more romance, and I really enjoyed that. I thought it was just a fun new take on this series. I liked it. I don't know why people hate it so much. I liked it. Let me say I like it one more time. I have to speed this up because the sun's gonna go down soon and I'm gonna lose all my lighting. The next book in our 4.5 stars is Collide by Bal Capra, I believe is how you pronounce it. This is just your traditional ice hockey romance set in a college setting. It is so adorable. I also read this right before I graduated. The main girl character, she is a psychology student and she is trying to graduate to get into grad school, and I was 2 weeks away from graduating from grad school when I was reading this, so it was a very cute story for me. This is just the traditional ice hockey players in trouble. He needs to have some kind of consequence. Enter female main character is their consequence. They don't get along at first, but he ends up being a sweetheart and they end up falling in love. That was basically the summary of this book. Without too much details, they have a little synopsis that I'll read on the back. It says, she's an honors student with ambitious graduate school plans, and he's a jock with only hockey on his mind. But once their worlds collide, their connection is hot enough to melt an ice rink. It's really good. I'm so excited to start the next book in the series. I'm pretty sure it's a series of interconnected standalones, and I'm so excited because his friend group, the male main character's friend group, is hilarious, and I really just want to hang out with them more. Continuing with our 4.5 stars, we have Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. This is my first official Christina Lauren book. No, it's not true. I read the Holidays one a few years ago. Correction, my first non-holiday book that I've read from them. This one is absolutely adorable. It says, just friends, just friends, just friends. If they repeat it enough, maybe it'll come true. Hazel, the main female character in this book, is absolutely adorable. You meet her in the very first chapter and you fall in love with her immediately. She is the cutest person ever. Like, I love her so much. She is just a ball of energy. She is a teacher, I think 3rd grade, if I remember correctly. And she knows she's a lot to handle. It says, Hazel Camille Bradford knows she's a lot to handle, and frankly, most men aren't up to the challenge. If her army of pets and thrill for the absurd don't send them running, her lack of filter means she'll say exactly the wrong thing in a delicate moment. Their loss. She's a good soul in search of honest fun. Josh I don't know, has known Hazel since college, where her zany playfulness proved completely incompatible with his mellow restraint. From the first night they met, when she graciously told him she would be honored to give you sex tonight, to when she sent him an unintelligible email while in a post-surgical haze, Josh has always thought of Hazel more as a spectacle than a peer. But now, 10 years later, after a cheating girlfriend has turned his life upside down, going out with Hazel is a breath of fresh air. It's so cute. They are the epitome of sunshine and black cat, golden retriever and black cat, grumpy sunshine. I was like, what? I was like, what's the phrase? Grumpy sunshine and black cat, golden retriever. She is this bundle of energy and fun, and he is this more low-key, relaxed personality, and she just lights up his world in the best way possible. As the synopsis said, they went to college together, but they weren't ever really that close. Then they meet at this party because Hazel just got a new job, and Hazel is actually best friends with Josh's sister, so she's always kind of been around, and she's always kind of had a crush on him. She's always thought he was really attractive, so she always just blurts out random things at the worst moments and just makes a fool out of herself, but in the most adorable way. They meet again as adults. Hazel's apartment floods. Josh's sister's like, hey, just stay with Josh, and he's like, why? And the sister kind of guilts him, so they end up kind of living together for a little bit just because Hazel's apartment is full of water, and it's just really cute when she makes him basically fall in love with her just by being herself, because her entire life she's been told that she's too much for people, and people will date her for her eccentric personality, and then break up with her after like 3 weeks after getting too bored with it. They are such a cute couple. They are adorable. Their balance is so perfect, and I love this book so much. Okay, I have 3 more books that are 4.5 stars, but 2 of them are part of a 5-star series, so I'm gonna do the last one on its own and then move to those 2. So our next one is The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins. Let me try to summarize this book. This book I binged really quickly because it's a really fast, easy pacing? Why can't I speak? It's really fast pacing that's really easy to keep up with, and after reading this I really want to read more of Rachel Hawkins' books because it was really just a quick read, really easy to understand, and I just really liked it. So this is about this couple. The male main character, he was adopted into this really rich family. I don't remember what happened to his birth parents, but he was adopted into this really rich family. It's kind of like Knives Out. See Knives Out? Picture the Knives Out family as this family. So when Ruby, his grandmother, mother, I don't know. So when Ruby McTavish Callahan Woodward Miller Kenmore, she's been married a lot and she kept every name, dies, she's not only North Carolina's richest woman, she's also the most notorious. The victim of a famous kidnapping as a child and widow 4 times, Ruby ruled the tiny town of Tavistock from Ashby House, her family's estate high in the Blue Ridge Mountains. In the aftermath of her death, the estate, along with the 9-figure fortune and the complicated complicated legacy of being a McTavish is passed to her adopted son, Camden. But to everyone's surprise, Cam wants little to do with the house or the money, and even less to do with the surviving McTavishes. So it really reminded me of Knives Out, where they're fighting for this fortune. So she dies. She adopted this son because I don't think she ever wanted children, but when she was in her like 50s or something, she decided to adopt this child, which is Camden. And then we follow Camden and his wife going to the estate after Ruby dies and trying to figure out what to do with it, because he gained all of these things, and Ruby doesn't have her own children, but it's all of her like nieces and nephews and siblings that are fighting over this fortune. So you meet all these other characters that are exactly like the Knives Out characters, where they're all selfish, they're all after their own gain. It's really fun, and I just really liked it. And then you find out a few things along the way, because Camden, he's like, I just want to mourn the loss of my adopted mom and move on. I don't want to deal with all this drama. And he seems like a really good person, and then you're kind of just following his headspace of what's happened in his past to get him to the headspace he's in now. Conversations are doing with his wife, what the other family members are doing, and it's just really fun. 4.5 stars. Our next two books are books that I absolutely adored and are part of 5-star series, but they didn't quite give me that 5-star feeling, so they are at the 4.5 rank, and that is Mockingjay and Iron Flame. I'll go through Mockingjay first. Mockingjay is the third book in the Hunger Games trilogy. I'm sure I don't have to summarize this book for you. I'm sure you know exactly what this book is about. I read the series for the first time ever in September, and I really enjoyed it. This book was just 4.5 stars for me though, because I'm gonna be honest, I just like the games, you know? Like, I think this book is very vital to the story. I think it's very important to also highlight what it's like to be a part of a rebellion and actually fight for justice for all of these kids, but it's just not as entertaining, and that's just the honest truth. I still like it. It's still a 4.5, which is very good. I just think the other two books really outshine it, if I'm being honest, but altogether it is a 5-star. So don't yell at me. Altogether it's a 5-star series. Now, Iron Flame, also Mockingjay is by Suzanne Collins, but I'm sure you know that. Then we have Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. She's a chunker, and I absolutely adored this book as well. The entire series is a 5-star. This book follows a bunch of dragons and their riders. Again, very popular series. I'm sure I don't have to explain it to you, but if for some reason you don't know what this series is about, this is about Violet and Xaden. They go to this war college called Basgiath, and everyone at this war college goes into 4 quadrants. There's riders, healers, infirmary? Is it infirmary? And scribes. I might have butchered this. It's been a while, guys. It's been a while. There's been a lot of books. I'm really excited for the 4th book though. So excited. And this is the middle book in this series. So again, not gonna tell you the plot of this one because again, it's very tied to what happens in the previous book. And when I go through the other books, it's gonna be, you know, 5-star series overall. I love the dragons. I love that they get to talk to dragons. I love that dragons are basically their besties. A lot happens in this book. I just felt like the beginning was a little slow. So that's why I kind of nicked it, that 0.5 star. But overall, I felt like so much happened in this book that's very important to the story. And I did really enjoy it overall, but just a little less than its counterparts. Alright you guys, let's go through all of my 5 stars while I still have a little bit of lighting left. And we're gonna try to make it quick because there is a lot of them. Let me start with these two off the bat, Fourth Wing and Onyx Storm, since I just reviewed Iron Flame. This is book 1 and book 3 of the Empyrean series. Iron Flame is the middle one. Again, about Violet and Xaden and their war college. This one is focusing on Violet's perspective of the war college when she's joining the war college, what happens to her in her first year. All the books are centered around Violet and told in her point of view. There's usually a Xaden chapter at the end of each book. This is her first year, this is her 3rd year, and then the other book is her 2nd year of college. And they're really good. I felt like this one was a beautiful introduction to the world and really getting you invested in why you should care about the series. 5 stars. And then this one is the 3rd book, and I felt like there was so much going on, but in the best way. When I was reading this book, I think I was in the middle of it or like 60% through, and I was like, holy crap, so much has happened in this book already and we're not even done yet. And I felt like she wrote it in a beautiful way where there was a lot going on, but it wasn't too much. Like, it all made sense and I was enjoying it without being overwhelmed. So that's why these two are in the 5-star category, but overall this series is a 5-star as a whole. There's 2 more books to come out, I believe, and I think that they will continue to be 5 stars because I love them so much. Okay, the next book is The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson. I absolutely adored this book. I recently posted a reading vlog about it. This one I won't go into too much detail because I just posted a reading vlog and a reading wrap up about this book, but it's basically if Grey's Anatomy had werewolves werewolves. The main character is an ER doctor, and then the male main character is a cardiologist, and they're both werewolves and they're falling in love in this very Grey's Anatomy-esque kind of romance book. It's really cute and wholesome, and the writing reminded me a lot of Allie Hazelwood. So if you are a fan of Allie Hazelwood, I can't speak anymore. If you are a fan of Allie, I recommend reading some of Lana's books because they are very, very similar in the best way. Speaking of Miss Allie, we have Mates. Again, part of the same reading vlog and reading my voice. Sorry, my throat is getting so dry. I'm trying to talk fast to kind of get this wrapped up and also not be like super sluggish, but my throat can't handle it. It's used to talking at my slow tone that everybody hates. This is made by Allie Hazelwood. It is the second book in the Bride series. I don't really know if that's a series. I think it's an unofficial interconnected standalone series, but it's so, so good. This is Serena and Cohen. They are mates. So Serena is a human hybrid, and then Cohen is the alpha of his pack. But in this particular pack, the alpha cannot be in a relationship. They have to be completely celibate because they don't want their alpha to prioritize one person over the pack. And that makes sense because they are the leader of this pack. They have to keep everyone safe. But if they're in love, they're obviously going to prioritize their wife or their lover or their mate, you know? That's just how animals are, very territorial. So then one day at the beginning of the book, they realize that they're mates and they're like, crap. And Serena's very confused. She thinks Cohen hates her the entire time because he wants nothing to do with her, but actually he's kind of obsessed with her, but he just can't be with her and she doesn't know that yet. So it follows their adventure of struggling to stay apart from each other when they have this animal instinct to be together, and it's really, really good. 6 stars. I read this in a day and a half and it was phenomenal. All right, we're gonna switch gears completely and do a nonfiction recommendation because I recently did graduate college, and this was actually a reading that was required for one of my classes, but I loved it so much that I do want to recommend it to you guys, especially if you are open to reading about psychology and how development works and how the mind works. This is one that my professor actually recommended to us, had us read, and we did a chapter a day, which I think is really helpful just based on how this book is structured. And that is The Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog by Bruce Perry and Mia Zalovitz. Sorry. It's mostly told by Bruce Perry though. Oh, Maya is a journalist and that's why she's included. I think she co-wrote this with him. This book is about Bruce Perry and his clients. So he is a psychiatrist and he's been working in the field for a very long time, and each chapter is actually a case that he worked on. Like chapter 1 is called Tina's World, and it's this client that he worked with and her story and what got her to where she is and why she had to see him and how things in her past have turned her into the adult she is, basically. It's called The Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog because one of the chapters is about this child who was kept confined in this like kennel-like thing, and he was basically raised as a dog and how that impacted his development. And I remember reading this, and even after years and years of schooling on psychology, I was still shocked how even little things in life can impact who you grow into and who you become. Even just little things like the importance of touch when you're a child and like that emotional bond, because there was this one, which is not little, I was just phrasing it in that way, but there was, I don't remember which chapter it was, but one of the chapters was about this mom who, when she grew up, she didn't really get that much like physical affection, but she was always cared for. So she always had food on the table, always had clothes, always had shelter. So she didn't consider herself neglected. But it really impacted her when she was then raising her daughter, because she parented her daughter the same way that she was parented because that's all that she knew. And then her daughter wasn't gaining weight and she was very, very tiny, and the doctors were very concerned. They were doing absolutely everything they could to help this child gain weight and be healthy, and they just could not figure out what was going on. The mom was so stressed. She was panicking basically because she had so much love for her child, but she just didn't know what to do. And then Bruce Perry started working with her a little bit, and they discovered that she wasn't giving that physical affection and that emotional bond to her child because she didn't know that that was part of parenting. She thought it was make sure they're cared for, make sure they have food, make sure they have clothes, they have shelter, that they're like, they have their basic needs met, and like spend time with them basically. She thought that was parenting because that was what her parents did. But then they started implementing different bonding techniques and like skin to skin and different things that really helped in a major way for this child, and she completely hitting all of her marks and growing at a very normal rate for her age and everything like that. And it really just shows that while people do genuinely struggle with medical mysteries, and that is very valid. There are also crazy medical mysteries that have to do with your mind and how sometimes your mind can manifest your trauma and your experiences in crazy ways. Even being a therapist myself, I've had patients who had such bad anxiety that it gave them skin rashes over their entire body, and they didn't know if they had a skin condition, they didn't know what was going on, and it ended up being their anxiety manifesting in crazy ways. And we still don't know a lot about the brain and how it works, but I felt like this was such a good place to start. Bruce Perry is still a very highly regarded person in this field, and I love him so much. This book is phenomenal. I think if you have kids or you ever want to have kids, you should read this, because a lot of the patients are children, because he's mostly a child psychologist, and it really shows the impacts of what you might not do and how that can impact them as an adult. Because you can have all the intention in the world to be a good parent, but if you don't implement certain things at certain milestones, it can really mess things up. And I don't say that to scare you, I just say that to encourage you to really read more about it, because no parent is perfect, but just make sure that you know all of those basic guidelines to kind of go from. It's phenomenal. I could talk about this book all day and about Bruce Perry all day. I highly, highly recommend this. Even if you read it one chapter at a time, it's so, so good. And I highly, highly recommend. I love it so much. I gotta get this going. The sun's about to set. Next, we have The Housemaid. I decided to read this because I really wanted to watch the movie, because I love Amanda Seyfried. And it was so phenomenal. The entire first half of the book, I was like, what is going on? And then the twist happens, and I'm like, what is going on? And it's so crazy. I loved it so much. Like, I genuinely loved it so much. This woman called Nina, she hires this housemaid called Millie, and Millie's just helping out around the house, trying to just get some random stuff done. They've got a kid, they've got this family, just trying to help out with the family. But then Millie starts to discover that Nina's really weird, and this house is really weird, and the daughter's really weird, and she's like, what did I sign up for? What is going on? And it gets creepy. So I recommend this one. It's really good. Then we have My Baby Quicksilver. My baddie, Ceres. Again, another book that a lot of people love or a lot of people hate. I don't really know. I'm always on the love side though, because I love it so much. This is Quicksilver. It is a fae romance with Ceres and Kingfisher. Our boy Kingfisher in the back. I love this book so much. I feel like it's such a good fantasy book. It has so much incredible detail, so many amazing side characters. I went into this book, I remember summarizing it more. It must have been in the wrap-up video, because I remember summarizing this book. It's a fae romance. And let me see what they wrote. Ceres Fane is good at keeping secrets. No one knows about the strange powers she possesses or the fact that she's been picking pockets and stealing from the Undying Queen's reservoirs for as long as she can remember. In the land of the unforgiving desert, there isn't much a girl wouldn't do for a glass of water. They only get 8 ounces of water, or maybe 6. 6 to 8 ounces of water per day. It's crazy. She's in a very poor area. But sooner or later, every secret comes out. When Ceres comes face to face with death himself, she inadvertently reopens a gateway between realms and is transported to a land of ice and snow. The Fae have always been the stuff of myth, of legend, of nightmares, but it turns out they're real, and Ceres has landed right in the middle of a centuries-long conflict that might just get her killed. The first of her kind to treat the frozen mountains of Yvelia in over 1,000 years. Ceres mistakenly binds herself to Kingfisher, a handsome Fae warrior who has secrets and a nefarious agenda of his own. He will use her alchemist magic to protect his people, no matter what it costs him or her. It's so good. Like, it's so good. I read this in a book club with my friends and they all hated it, but I love it so much. So just try it. Just try it for me. Just try it. We're running through these. Then we have The Conditions of Will. What do I say? As you know, some things have been exposed about the author, Jessa Hastings, that I definitely do not agree with. I do not agree with any of the tweets that she has written in the past. And she's being really weird about AI for some reason. I don't know why she's like on Team AI or whatever. So I'm just gonna be brief. It's really sad how much I love this book. It is such a good book. It is amazing. It is beautiful in every way. Before I knew about Jessa's history, I was recommending it to every single person I knew because it is that good. It is a romance book that reads as literary fiction, and it goes through the complex family dynamics of this household, of this family. Their father dies, and there's 4 siblings, and then their mom, and it's the most toxic family you've ever met, but it's so interesting to be a fly on the wall in this book, and it's absolutely fantastic, and I recommended it to my dad's girlfriend and she absolutely loved it, and it's really unfortunate. So if you already have it, I recommend that you read it, lend it to a friend, lend it to a family member, buy it secondhand. I don't know what to say because I really, really loved it, but I also don't want to platform authors who have said a bunch of hateful things on Twitter. So that's kind of where I'm at. I used to have this facing out on my bookshelf and now it's in a timeout. I don't really know. I don't really know how to feel. Also, the cover's really cool. I don't know. Just borrow it from friends if somebody already owns it. We are almost done. The next two books are The Hunger Games. As I said earlier, I absolutely love The Hunger Games. It is a 5-star series. I love these books so much. The movies are also incredible. It is insane how close the movies are to the books. I think they did such a good job. Again, I don't think I really need to summarize these books because I feel like it's pretty common knowledge, but they have these murder trials where everyone from 12 to 18, 13 to 18, all of these kids are picked out of a bowl. They're basically sacrificed for entertainment. The books itself are fun to read, and I think the author, Suzanne Collins, does such a great job about highlighting the evil in these books. And they, especially in this one, they really emphasize like know who the real enemy is, know what the objective is, and then going into the third book, it really highlights all of it. Love these books so much. Mwah, mwah. That's it for my physical copies. Let me go through all of the books that I don't own physically. So one of the books I don't own physically is Tell Me Everything, the Minka Kelly memoir. I absolutely loved her memoir. I thought her story was super sad, honestly, but it was really cool to see how far she's come because at the time I was watching Friday Night Lights and sometimes I'm just curious. Like I just want to know what these celebrities' lives have been like. Usually it's really hard for me to not rate memoirs 5 stars, so you'll see a few memoirs on here because one, their stories are just incredible and crazy and I just want to follow along regardless of what it is. So it's not like a fake 5-star, it's an earned 5-star, but I do lean more positive because I don't want to like rate someone's story, but also I want to rate the writing, if that makes sense. So I know some people don't rate memoirs. I still do because I think part of the book is the writing style and I think that is valid to critique, but their story is not, if that makes sense. 5-star, it was very engaging. I think she wrote it very well. I don't know if she wrote most of it or like I don't know if she wrote all of it or most of it or some of it, I don't know, but it was really easy to follow and her story was absolutely incredible. I don't know how she has made it, honestly, and I really encourage you to read her story. The next book is The House of My Mother, the Sherry Frankie memoir. Again, don't know how this girl is still standing. Her mother is absolutely the worst. I'm sure you know a little bit about her if you've watched the documentary or watched any of the YouTube or TikTok drama pages. This story blew up. Her mother is now in prison. Sherry's so incredibly strong. I would have folded years ago. Again, another story that was just written very well. It was very easy to digest. It wasn't confusing at all. Very easy to follow. She's a very good storyteller and her story is so sad and painful, but I definitely recommend that you read it. Then another memoir, Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. I don't know if this is her memoir or if it's just, because I know she's written a few books and I don't know if they're all nonfiction or if some are fiction. I don't really know, but this is Everything I Know About Love. This one I thought was just the perfect book for anyone who's looking for that sisterly figure. It's a book about her advice on relationships and love, given everything I know about love. It was really sweet, especially coming from someone who's an only child and doesn't have like an older sister to talk to. If you're craving that feeling of having an older sister, read this book. It's genuinely so good. I loved it so much. It's like a warm hug. At the beginning it was a little slow and I understand why some people DNF it because at first I was like, where are we going with this? But then once you get past that little hump, it's very, very good. The advice is very solid and it was just fun to read all of her crazy stories. All right, I think we only have one book left and that should be 25 books in 2025. So the last book we're gonna end on is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This book is so fantastic, so amazing. It is toxic lesbian vampires is basically what I've been hearing everyone call it. What I say is if Catherine Pierce from the Vampire Diaries was a lesbian and at the height of her toxicity. So the most toxic you've ever seen Catherine Pierce, but she's a lesbian this time and it's really good. It's so good. We follow 3 different characters and 3 different timelines and it's basically everyone's experience being a vampire and being turned into a vampire and falling in love and all these things, and I just love a good sapphic romance. I think it's just a fun thing to read about, especially in vampire form. I don't think I've ever read a sapphic vampire like book or seen that in media because any type of vampire show, it's always heterosexual. So this one was fun to read, like a different take on it. And it was steamy and spicy and toxic and just so good. I feel like it's such a good palate cleanser, if that makes sense. Maybe not palate cleanser. It's a breath of fresh air is what I'm looking for. It's such a breath of fresh air. It's so fun to read about. I loved it. I loved it. If you love the Vampire Diaries and you liked Catherine Pierce, read this book. It's so good. I loved it so much. I don't want to spoil too much of it because I don't want to give away plot points, but it's about people turning into vampires and falling in love and manipulating other people. I'm gonna try to hold some of these. Those were the 25 books I read in 2025. If you've read any of these, please let me know how you felt about it down below, especially the controversial ones. As I said earlier, my goal is to post a lot more in 2026, so let me know any of the books that you're really excited for 2026, and I might do a video soon about all the books that I plan to read. Stick around and subscribe for that, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!